Hey everyone, it's the June and Yukai show. I'm over here in my nice little home, got my setup going. Yukai, where are you right now?
I'm in Taipei right now, and as you can see, I'm in a car. I'm in my reliable Model 3, and yeah, just decided that we want to keep the show reliable and consistent as much as we can. So we're gonna prioritize consistency over, I guess, quality or
Hey, this got to be quality content, maybe production
quality.
value.
Yeah, your
Yeah,
face
yeah.
production map.
Hey, do they have full self driving over there?
Yeah, I don't think it works as well as in the U.S. because the
Hmm.
roads are less ideal, and probably there's also less Teslas driving around to learn about the conditions. But we're seeing way more Teslas in Taiwan than before, like than a year ago.
Nice man. Every single one of my neighbors here has a Tesla. It's crazy. It's like completely
Yeah,
taken over.
and then Model Ys around now because before we couldn't get it.
Yeah. So let's start the show. And you have a topic that's going on. It looks like you have an imposter right now trying to scam your followers. Is that what's going on?
Yeah, and it all happened in the past week. I started to get a lot of people saying, "Hey, this guy on Instagram, is that you?" And this guy, like my Instagram ID is u dash kai, and this guy's called real dot u dash think. And he has my profile photo, he has my my bio and all that stuff. Now the thing is that I cannot see him because he blocked me. So this user does not exist to me, which means I cannot report him, I cannot see him, he doesn't exist in my world. But a lot of people have just been sending me, "Hey, is this you?" Or, "I almost got scammed by him." So maybe there's someone who has, I'm not sure. So they'll have a private conversation with my friends, my contacts, and then they'll talk about, do you know much about crypto, blah blah blah, and I think eventually gets them to sign up to something to get.
Hmm.
So that's the recent news, and I literally, like, right before I'm talking to you now, I just posted a video on Instagram saying, "I have imposter. Please go and report him. Don't get tricked by him."
I see. Damn, that sucks, man. So they're trying to scam some money, right? Any time a scammer is usually trying to get some money somehow.
Uh, I would assume that's what he's trying to get. He's not
How
trying
to
to,
get
or he's
the,
not trying to
the
pristine knowledge.
yeah, I want to get free membership to Octalysis Prime, man. I'm gonna.
Hi Lopez. It's not like, "Hey, I could be scamming people for money, but I care about knowledge.
Yeah.
Knowledge is scam people of their knowledge." No, he's not doing that. I don't think.
In the core drives, is there anything in the core drives about taking the scammy route? Like we've been talking about motivation, making your money, making your finances stable, having a good career, getting motivated. Like even to scam someone takes some motivation. So is that like more
It
black
takes.
hat?
I mean, it's the same. It's the same thing. It's like, okay, so if you're scamming people because you're starving, your children are starving, that's core drive 8, loss and avoidance. If you're starving people to get a gain, then that's core drive 4, ownership and possession. If you're scamming people because it makes you feel superior, intelligent, and smart, then that's core drive 2, development and accomplishment. Now, some people actually treat scamming people like an artist, and that for them is core drive 3, empowerment of creative feedback. It's like, oh, here's a really amazing idea to scam people. I want to see if it works because Core Drive 3 involves the feedback part, and then they just do it and they think, like, in that sense they have no guilt. They actually feel so much pride with the way they scam people.
I wonder if that's a way their brain works and going that route. It's a little sneaky. It's a little risky. It drives up that dopamine in their brain and they get like a bigger high from it. So some people get a high from doing illegal things, doing things a little sketchy, maybe stealing something. These people are like, oh, I can circumvent, and instead of following the rules, I can just make my own rules and take advantage of people. I wonder if that's something like their
Yeah.
brain is wired and they get a bigger high.
In college, we had a mutual friend that I
I
guess,
was thinking about the same
yeah,
thing.
guy has no sense of morality. Okay, so what he would do is, well, first of all, he cheated on all his tests to get into UCLA, and he lied on all his applications to get his first job, and more. And then I remember when you were starting Bruin Consulting and you were like working hard making an A board to put on Bruin Consulting, he walked by and he was genuinely confused. He's like, why are you working so hard to make one? Why don't you steal one off of Broomwalk? You know, put your own stuff on it. Like he didn't understand why people would work hard and not steal. And I remember he even told us like, yeah, for $1,000, I would totally screw over a friend. And I
Yeah.
told him, yeah, even if that's true, you don't want to let your friends know about that so easily. And he said, yeah, that's true. Actually, now that I think about it, I don't think it's worth it. You know, it's like screwing your friend. It's really not that worth it. But then he ended up doing that. You know, I don't know if you want to tell that story, but he did end up screwing you for like just $1,000.
Yeah, we'll probably get into that next time. But yeah, this guy was a sketchy kind of guy, and I think we were close friends for a long time. You know, throughout college, and it just even after college, he screwed over his employer. You know, he
Yeah,
would take over a client.
he made all the money, and his coworkers got laid off, and he was bragging about it.
You had something similar happen in your consulting firm, where I don't know if you want to talk about it, but there was a person in your employment and they were trying to do something sketchy, trying to take a client. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
I remember it's pretty recent. It still hurts
Yeah.
my heart. The
Mm.
inconveniences are still happening, but I don't know if I want to go in
Talk
detail.
about that? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Maybe we don't want to.
But
It's too
but yeah,
fresh.
it's just someone who wanted to make a little bit more money in a dishonest way, and we 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 thought, okay, maybe he doesn't know, right? Maybe he doesn't know it's bad. So if we were about to ask him, and if he just said, "Oh yeah, I was doing that. Oh wait, it's bad. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't want to do it." We would forgive him, but he just pretended he didn't know what we were talking about. Like, and he lied 5 times in a row. Like
Yeah.
like I kept saying no, but what you just lied on is proven to be wrong here. And they're like, oh, then they made another line, and then we can no longer trust him. But so he literally, okay, he gave up so much. He was leading the biggest project we've ever had, okay, and and he was about to make so much money. Um, but then he was just he wanted to make an extra few $1,000s on the side, and then he no longer has that. It's still very sad.
Okay. I know where I want to take this video. Yukai, how do we teach our children morality? Some people, like you mentioned, don't have this sense of good or bad, or maybe they do have a sense of good and bad and they don't care. They actually want to take advantage of it and say, hey, that's foolish for you to even, let's say, pay or do the hard work when you can just copy somebody else, when you can just take advantage of somebody else's work. So, how are you teaching your children morality? And I can talk about how I'm doing it, but I'd love to understand how you're doing it.
Yeah, well, the first thing is obviously I am a person of faith, so in my family we talk about the faith aspect, which is a huge underlying aspect of a lot of religions or faith is morality, right? So I'm gonna skip most of that because I know some of our audience don't relate to that necessarily, but I just say that that's something very important. You install that the faith is important, and within the faith, these are important principles and values. But also, my kids, they watch cartoons and movies, right? And there's villains, there's bad guys, and
Mm.
there's good guys. Um, and so I often will ask them like, "Do you want to be a good guy or a bad guy?" And they'll say, "Good guy." And then it's like, "Okay, well then you shouldn't be doing because what you're doing now, and if you're not corrected, you will grow up and become a bad guy, and a bad guy will get corrected." And then I tell them it is even though you're very smart, you're very capable, very powerful, if you don't learn to control your emotions, control your desires, if you don't learn to do good things and avoid bad things, you will grow up to become a very powerful villain. And in that case, it's better to be a weak villain, right? It's so being a good person, being ethical, being on the side of the protagonist is more important than being successful and powerful because you don't want to be a powerful villain. You rather be a weak and stupid and incompetent. You
I'd
want
rather
to
be a powerful villain.
huh?
If I'm going to be a villain, I got to be a powerful villain.
No, being the powerful villain is worse for the world. That's what I'm teaching.
Oh, okay, okay, I see, I see.
Yeah,
Mhm.
if you're gonna become a villain, it's better for the world that you're a weak villain. So you'd rather not be powerful at all. You'd rather just be stupid if you're gonna be a villain. So I'm saying that the best case is you're growing. So I'm teaching the most underlying fundamental thing is being on the good side, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You want to be able to respect yourself, like yourself. You want to be righteous, and then once that is already established, then being powerful, being successful, being smart becomes relevant, or else all that stuff is pointless.
So you start with a why. You start with CD1, right? Like the calling of you should be good, and then building from the good. Now you should be more powerful. You should have a larger network. You should have be wealthy and all these things. You should have influence because
Yeah,
if you don't have that core, then you're going to be evil to the world.
yeah, it's great to be a powerful hero, right? But if you're just powerful without ethics, you're a powerful villain, which is what
Mm,
I have to defeat.
that's true. I'm going to tell you and the listeners about how I go about it, about teaching my children, I think, morality. And it starts with an interesting story. So I used to teach my children to a certain extent, but it came out. I'm trying to remember exactly how it went, but I was telling them, "Oh, you can do whatever you want," right? I was kind of telling them, "Hey, and I was trying to instill the ability to make decisions and be independent and make those choices. And as this went on for a few months, something happened. I don't know. Maybe I don't remember exactly. Let's just use an example that happens all the time. Kimball wanted to play with something, and Juniper wanted to play with something, and she's stronger. Juniper's my older daughter, and she can just take her from it. And I asked Junie, it's like, hey, Junie, you can't do that, right? Because look at Kimball now, we have to share. And she's like, but Poppy, I can do whatever I want. And I'm like, damn it. Damn it, this is backfiring. Okay, so ever since then, we've changed. And what I tell her is, you have to do, o tienes que hacer lo bueno y lo correcto. And what that means in English is you have to do the good thing and you have to do the right thing. So now I've been teaching that. Like, you have to do the good thing and you have to do the right thing. And this is a conversation we can have right now. You know, the challenge is, how do you figure out for them to identify what is the good thing and what is the right thing? So the way I've done it is just through examples. For example, I think one time we found a wallet on the floor or something. Something was dropped on the floor and it went missing. Clearly somebody lost something. And so I picked it up and I said, Junie, it was a great teaching moment. Junie, what is the good thing to do right now? And she thought about it and she said, "Oh, we can give it back to this person." I'm like, "Yeah, we can give it back to this person because that would be the good thing. How would that person feel if they don't have this thing?" And so we're building empathy. Maybe she said, "I don't know," but I can ask her, "How would you feel if you lost something?" It's like, "Oh, I would feel sad." Well, okay, how do you think this person feels? Sad. And that's how I've been trying to build it. Like, I haven't really established an exact pattern or exact way to say this is good and this is bad, but it's more like building empathy. How would you feel if it's done to you, essentially?
Yeah, that is like the golden rule.
The golden rule. Yeah.
Yeah, don't do unto others what you don't want them to do to you. So if you know you'd be sad, then why inflict on other people?
Yeah,
See, the
yeah,
fun,
absolutely.
just bringing down the humor side. The golden rule doesn't always apply. It's like, oh, I want this attractive person to kiss me, so I'm gonna kiss that person. you know, doesn't always apply, but
I
it's
would want to be kissed. Yeah,
I want you to kiss me, so I'm gonna treat you the same way. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. But it's I mean, it's just a humorous side point. But yeah, I think generally speaking, it is true. Like you can understand what's good or what's bad because the bad benefits from other people's misery or
yeah.
right, and the good, when you're really good, you actually sacrifice for other people's advantage and benefits.
Talk about that a little bit, because I've been teaching my children about sacrifice, but the way you teach it, I think, is really good. I think there's clear examples of your children. It's like, I will sacrifice myself or something. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, well, when you're on this topic, I don't think there's a way to avoid the fate aspect. So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
so
Yeah.
I'm trying to teach my twin daughters. They're 5 now, but at 1 years old, I'm trying to teach them this whole aspect of Christianity about why does Jesus die on this, like, for people, and what does that actually mean? So, sacrificial lamb. So sometimes when Symphony is being, or when they're being punished, I would say, or do you want daddy to be the sacrificial lamb? And they'll say, and they don't know what it means, but yeah, sacrificial lamb. So I'll, whatever the punishment is, I will do it for them. Okay. But then at about 2 years old, when Harmony's being punished, Symphony will step up and say, hey, I want to be a sacrificial lamb. I want to take the punishment for Harmony because I want to be more like Jesus. So, and it's like, wow, she's only 2 and she's doing this pretty cool. So we teach some of that things about sacrifice. We also teach about consequence in the sense that, and this is non-religious, but it's about, you know, your choices lead to consequence. So if you take the hard thing now, you're in pain, you're suffering,
Mm.
you're focusing when you don't want to pay attention. You'll get benefits later on. But if you mess around, you don't want to focus. You're hitting people when you feel like it, then it leads to negative consequence. So we also teach them this dynamic about gain now and pain later, or pain now and gain later.
I like that. Something that we've been doing as well is this idea of the easy or the difficult or the challenging. Like how to translate it in English. But I say, a nosotros nos gusta lo difícil o lo fácil, which means like, do we like it the hard way or the easy way? And I've been trying to teach them. It's like, oh, we like the hard way, the difficult things. And this, for example, will come up when they're on their iPad. So Juniper's on her iPad, and she knows already. I've told her this a lot of times, but there's things that she did as a 3-year-old or 4-year-old on the iPad, and now she's 5, almost 6. So clearly, the things for a 3-year-old are just too easy for her, and the things that are for a 6-year-old are more challenging. So she'll look at me and she'll say, "Papi, I'm gonna do a little bit of easy, but then I'm gonna do the hard." I'm like, okay, okay, you go ahead. And she understands that she needs to do the difficult things, but for her, she also likes doing the easy things. But I think I've instilled that in her mind where she lets me know, she gives me that communication. I know I need to do the difficult things. I'm just gonna do a little bit of the easy.
The fact that she knows she should choose the difficult thing is I think it's a win for parenting.
Oh, parenting. Just gotta get any win that you can, man. Any win.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean that's what it is, right? So the topic of sacrifice, I was thinking a lot about this in the last episode. We were talking about the victim mentality, and I've been developing this idea of this hunt gather mindset. A victim waits for others to provide for them, while the hunter gatherer has to go out there, kill the meal, hunt it, bring it home, skin it, cook it, or else the family doesn't eat, right? Like a victim puts blame on other people. A victim wants things right now, while the hunter gatherer has to plant crops, has to tend to them, has to water them, has to grow, and over time, they're going to reap those rewards. And that was really resonating to me as I was thinking about it, is that when you're the victim, you want everything now, you want everything done for you, and when you're the hunter gatherer, if you don't do it, no one's going to do it for you. Right? I mean, you could have, of course, your partner, you can have your friends, and you can, as a leader, lead the people towards a common goal. Absolutely. But you have to have that mentality that you have to do it yourself because no one's going to provide it for you.
Yeah, I think that's the thing about being self-reliant and being independent, right? Because I forgot what it's called, but there's that model out there that's talking about the worldview of there's the victim, and in the victim's view, there's always the oppressor, and then there's the rescuer. Okay, so all the problems in the world that the victim is facing, anything, can't get a good job, not having the right body image, not having self-esteem, it's all the fault of the oppressor. Okay, and then the problem can only be solved by the rescuer. Okay, so if the problem is not solved, it's also the rescuer's fault. But then when
Mhm.
the rescuer comes in and tries to help them, they become codependent, which means they become completely attached to the rescuer. And then and again, all their emotions is whether the rescuer does what they want to do or not, because they are not self-reliant, they're not independent, they don't think I actually should take responsibility and take action to improve myself, get a better job, have a better interviews, complain less, and focus on growing. They just think, okay, I have zero control. It's all about whether the oppressor is oppressing me or not, or the rescuer is rescuing me or not. And I think, again, not a very constructive mindset, but it happens uh, more and more in society, which is an issue.
Yeah. And the reason I want to tie it back, why did I bring this up, was this idea of sacrifice that I've been thinking about. All of us, you and me, successful people more successful than us, have to sacrifice something. When we were in college, people talked to me about the three S's. You can only have two of the three S's but not all three in college. It was sleep, study, or social. Sex wasn't one of it, but it was. I think that was
That's
bundled into social.
probably about this. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But sleep, study, social. And I remember so vividly.
Hilarious. You could only have two out of those three. You could have all three. Sure, dude.
No, no, no. That really stuck with me. Sleep, study, social. Like it was honestly, like, maybe thinking back now with experience, we can make it all work. But sleep, study, social. You can't sleep if you're out partying all night. You can't study if you're hungover. Right? But if you're not hungover, then you didn't party last night. If you slept, then you didn't hang out with friends. And that's basically what I'm trying to get at
You know,
is
that's why there's 24 hours in a day. You could sleep for 8 hours, study for 8 hours, and social for 8 hours.
no, but there's just not enough time in the day to do all three. I think now with our experience, maybe,
I
but
have
no.
no time to do all three and run a startup. Okay, we were running startups, running a whole company back in college, and so one of those four things had to give, I'd say. But the three is normal college life. Okay. Anyway, keep going. I'm not.
My point is, my point is that you have to sacrifice something. Are you sacrificing your health? Are you sacrificing your sleep? Hopefully not. Are you sacrificing video games? Are you sacrificing movies? Are you sacrificing, time with children? Hopefully not. Hopefully you're spending time with your children. Are you sacrificing a promotion? I think people want everything now. Again, people want everything handed to them. But let's remove that for a second. We all need to sacrifice something so that we can achieve a goal. Sacrifice for our family, sacrifice for our career, sacrifice for our goals. And I don't think we acknowledge that enough and think about it enough. It's like, what are we sacrificing right now? Like for example, right now we do this podcast. I'm sacrificing time at night when my kids are asleep, and I could watch Netflix, for example. It seems like such a simple sacrifice, but it's so much easier to just sit on the couch and consume this digital information as opposed to making these. Although these are really fun. So you got to find something that really drives you and is fun.
Yeah, I think I remember when I was in college and shortly after graduating college. I was basically working all the time. When I go to a party, it's because I'm just waiting for people to get really drunk and like throwing up, and so I can take care of them. I literally, in one of the banquets where everyone was partying, I was literally reading a business book on the side, and my grand big bro, Ethan, he actually walked up to me and say, "Hey, can you not read a book? Because when we're dancing and I'm looking at the table and like you're sitting there reading a book, it's a big turn off." Right. And so I'm just a lot of times when everyone's just hanging out partying, I'm just there doing work and running the business. And I think a lot of people look at my life right now and they think, wow, that's really nice. I make more than a high paying lawyer. I travel the world and speak. I talk about games and I play games as part of my work. So people's like, wow, that's really nice. Um, but what they didn't know is that I spent 7 years working at least 80, 90 hours a week, sometimes 100 hours a week, for pretty much free, with no money. Well, one, because I couldn't legally make money as my status in the U.S., but also even when the startup had money, we paid our employees. I didn't pay myself, and that was just pushing the journey of gamification too. And I think a lot of people would have given up on year 4 or year 5 or year 6, like it was that passion also. Passion helps you sacrifice, right? If you're passionate about something, it's not about if it's comfortable. It's not about if it's respected. You just want to burn your life for it. So because I had passion for this concept of gamification design, I stuck to it. And like 7, 8 years of this later, uh, the world picked up on gamification. They saw me as an expert in this, and been doing it for so long. I had something unique to say, and then my life kind of took off from there. At least my current career. So again, people don't see the sacrifice, and they might not be willing to do the sacrifice. But like I said, life is a trade-off, right? You can't have everything, and I think
Mm.
some victims feel like, oh, because I can't have everything, I have to make a sacrifice. Therefore, I'm being oppressed by society, and I think that's also an issue.
That's the crazy thing, right? We've talked about this in a past episode, but people hate on Elon Musk because you're a billionaire. But this guy was sleeping in the factory floor when they were trying to scale up the Model 3. I, right? One of the richest guys on the planet had to sleep on the factory floor. He could easily have bought a yacht. He could easily not work a single day in his life. But it's that passion and drive that is getting him to the factory with the employees, sleeping on the floor, making sure that they can do it.
Yeah.
And
I slept on the office floor like a few times before, and
yeah,
I would not be able to ask anyone to do it because it's disrespectful, it's humiliating, right? And so he works hard and he also corrects people on that. And everyone talks about like he inherited a emerald mine from his father. They really don't know his true story. His father was a bad person, left his mother and children and the children. And his father later on had a daughter with his stepdaughter too, which is kind of strange. Um, but so they were abandoned. Like you have bad fathers that don't leave anything. And it's even a myth about whether he has emerald mine or not, but he has a company that's mining, okay? And Elon Musk's mother has a story about one time she spilled the milk and she just cried on the floor because that was their last milk. They didn't have a lot of money. They were not privileged with the emerald mine. Elon Musk said when he moved to Canada, I think he had $500 in his suitcase, and that was about it. But even if he did have an emerald mine, okay, there are people who inherit emerald mines and they don't become the richest man. They don't create electric cars. Okay, he was not the first to invent electric car. Who cares? Populated it, right? The fact that we see electric cars around, Volkswagen's making electric cars because of Tesla. They said we don't believe in electric cars. Oh, Tesla's successful. We're gonna do it. So why hate on him? Why pick up all these little random details to say he's a terrible person? He doesn't deserve it.
right. It's a victim mentality, right? There's an oppressor, and like you said, I need to be rescued. And it's not up to me to change my situation, but it's up to somebody else to fix my
I would
situation.
say that's an extension of the victim mentality. That isn't saying like I'm a victim of Elon Musk. He's an oppressor. I'm a victim. That isn't saying that, but that's saying that successful people, they don't deserve this. They didn't work hard. They were just lucky. Just things
Mm,
happened to them. They also had no control. Just like me, no one has control over their success. They were born rich, right? Born rich, and that's why they're billionaires. And I am not born rich, so there's nothing I can do to improve my situation. That's an extension of the victim mentality. And people I see on YouTube comments like, "Oh, there's almost no rich person that started off poor." That's not true. You go to the channel called Magnet Media. Look at all the big brands, Gucci. Look at Honda. They were so poor. Okay, a lot of iconic billionaires start off with nothing and they worked hard and look at their story. They failed so many times. Their factories burned down. They were completely wiped. A lot of them were affected by the war. A lot of the big brand companies were affected by World War II, and some even had to controversially like work with the Germans to stay alive. Okay, so they a lot of them were very poor. But it's the worldview like, oh, no one, like there's almost no one that started off poor and they became rich. That's completely untrue. Now some people were super poor, they became rich. Some people were middle class and became rich. People were able to improve their positions. Now obviously some people, like I said, they are in terrible situation. They truly are stuck in a place that's very hard to get out. Okay, so I'm not dismissing that, but those who are complaining online about this, chances are there are at least 10 things you can do today to improve your situation.
yeah, man. Yeah. With that, I do want to make sure that we're around that 30-minute mark. Keep it reliable, keep it consistent. And I think we're gonna adjourn here. I'm gonna go spend some time with the wife. I see you're running errands. What are you doing after this?
Just getting back and get some work done, I guess. I need logistical hotels and plane tickets because I have a speech in Miami coming up and then a speech at Harvard, Boston.
Oh, nice. In Miami NFT?
Yeah, my NFT week, and then for Harvard, it's an event is putting up with the XR. So XR is like VR, AR, mixed reality kind of stuff.
Nice. All right. So thanks, everyone. If you want to reach out to us, you can find us on Twitter. Leave a comment on YouTube. We'll always respond there. And we'll see you on the next one.
Stay strong, stay hopeful.
See ya.
See you later.